and the food of thought. For I am
one of our hosts, very distinguished host, Mr. Clifton Coates, that was with us in Largo, Maryland last night, where we hosted about 50 business professionals and business owners, and we spotlighted 8 of them, 4 of them who were guests that were invited by Mr. Coates. So in our prosperity series, we are using this platform at Everlasting Life here in Capitol Heights, Maryland. Beautiful restaurant, also including these studios so that we can transmission great ideas, great concepts, and great people. We're using this platform to spread our prosperity program and dialogue to anyone that can hear our voice. And so for all those of you who follow me on Facebook, good morning. I hope you're having a great day today, or good afternoon, I should say. It's roughly around 2:30 now here in Maryland and on the East Coast. I just want to thank all of those who made yesterday evening possible in Largo, Maryland. All of our hosts, including Dr. Yolanda Lewis Ragland, Mr. Coates, who's here with us, Miss Pamela Sharp, who's back in Virginia, Miss Susan Walker, who's also here in Prince George's County. Thank all of you. I count it as a blessing to be able to work with all of you and call you friends and colleagues. What we are doing is essentially bringing to the consciousness of urban consumers between New York City and Norfolk, Virginia, that they are enormously wealthy, but that wealth is of no consequence to them unless they organize and unless they support each other's businesses. And Clifton has joined me in bringing that message, although he was sharing that message here in Maryland and on other platforms for a much longer time than since we've met. So I count it as a blessing to have made his acquaintance and been able to start a working relationship and partnership with him. So to be specific, the Matthews broadcast operates currently in 4 states: New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and now Virginia. And what we do is share with urban consumers in all 3 states the purchasing power that they have, so that we can make you aware of how great that purchasing power is. In the state of New York, urban consumers, primarily brown and black, have $58 billion that they spent into the New York economy last year. In New Jersey, urban consumers have $34 billion that they spent into the New Jersey economy last year. In the state of Pennsylvania, urban consumers spent $25 billion last year. In the state of Maryland, urban consumers spent $38 billion into the Maryland economy last year. And Prince George's County is by far the wealthiest black county according to purchasing power in the nation. In the state of Virginia, urban consumers spent $36 billion into the Virginia economy. So then that means on a regional basis, urban consumers, brown and black, have more than $200 billion a year that we spend into this regional economy. And we have the distinction of having the financial capital of the world, which is New York City, at the top end of what I call the prosperity corridor, and Washington, D.C., which is the political capital of the world, on the southern end of what I call the prosperity corridor. And so we must do a better job with this purchasing power because right now we, while having this $203 or so billion to spend, we only spend 2% of it with businesses in our own community. Our solution for that is to shop urban, shop local, and shop now. You're going to spend the money anyway. Why not do it in your own communities? And so create a cycle of enrichment rather than a cycle of impoverishment. So that is what our message is. all the time because we have so much catching up to do. We have so many problems to tackle, but the blessing is that the Creator has given us all of this wealth to take care of it if we would just use it for the right purposes. As we begin this journey here in the Maryland and Virginia area, I had the pleasure of meeting the man that I'm going to introduce now, Mr. Cliff Coates, who is very well known in this state and this area. He has joined the Matthews Business Network and is one of our hosts, and it's my hope that we can grow well beyond even Virginia in the near future. So last night, we held our network meeting and our entrepreneur spotlight at the Marriott, the Courtyard Marriott in Largo, and there we spotlighted 8 local business persons, 4 of which Cliff invited to be on our spotlight. And what we do is pretty unique. We spotlight business owners on our Sunday webcast at the MatthewsBroadcast.com, and then we also promote their businesses with a 30-second commercial on a Comcast platform of their choice, including the Oprah Winfrey Network, BET Network, the VH1 Network, and also the Hallmark Channel. So that is how we help them to grow. We expose our spotlighted guests to at least 500,000 viewers, and we can even give them a report on how many people connected with their commercials. So Cliff, welcome for the first time to Everlasting Life Spotlight, and also Everlasting Wealth, which is the only thing that can happen here at this location. I even see that the patron saint of this studio and this restaurant has made an appearance with his son in tow to grace what we're doing with success. But last night, Cliff, we had an opportunity to spotlight 4 entrepreneurs that you recommended that they could market their business on a higher level. I don't necessarily want you to go into the specifics of the names of their businesses and who they are. I want to go into the why. Why do you think it was important for businesses in our community to have an opportunity to share their products and services on a platform that is as large as the Comcast platform?
Well, the first thing that I want to tell our audience, and it's really important that they understand, and you brought it up in part, but I want to make certain that there's some clarification. Prince George's County, Maryland is the largest African American community per capita in the United States of America. Especially, there are a couple of facts that you need to look at. Number one, we have the highest percentage of master's degree holders per capita in the United States of America for the African American community. Second thing that we have is we have the largest portion of black millionaires in this place called Prince George's County than anywhere else in the United States of America. As well, we have the highest amount of spendable dollars as well right here in Prince George's County. And as you said, Stan, one of the important things that we need to learn how to do is to share in those disposable dollars that we have and spread that wealth to African American businesses. So to answer your question, I think it's important that those folks, even the folks that I had come on last night, they have to be able to understand those portals that exist out there that they can do business with. You know, because oftentimes those places are hidden until we expose those places. And last night's networking session was a pure example of how you did that.
Well, I appreciate the feedback as to why we should do that, and also appreciate the fact that Prince George's County is so potentially beneficial to the entrepreneurs who operate here, the professionals and the creative artists who work here. What we set out to do by establishing this platform, though, was to demonstrate to entrepreneurs, professionals, and creative artists in our community that advertising on network television and other platforms is affordable. Because prior to the creation of the Matthews broadcast, they didn't think it was so. So for those of you who may be looking at this broadcast right now, you can give us a call at 732-357-5701 if you would like the opportunity to have your business spotlighted on our weekly Sunday webcast and promoted for more than 500,000 people here in the DMV, in the state of New Jersey, in the state of Pennsylvania, and beginning on May the 24th in the state of Virginia in the Hampton Roads area. We want to do this because, as Cliff said, the spendable dollars right here in PG County are very, very large. But that's also the case in Richmond. That's also the case in Norfolk. That's also the case in Philadelphia. That's also the case in Newark, New Jersey. That's also the case in Harlem, right? So we need to continue to use platforms like this one, for which we're very grateful, to continue to educate and teach. Second question, beyond the why. Cliff, you have mentored many, many, many people in business and in their life. It's one thing to say that, for instance, an entrepreneur who's in New Jersey operates in a $34 billion urban consumer market. But what kind of skill sets and what kind of approach should we take? Just because Clifton Coates looks like somebody else doesn't mean they should spend money with them. So from your mentorship, put your mentorship hat on and tell me what you told some of the people that you brought with you to the platform yesterday about, set aside the potential dollars that you could earn, but what must their approach to doing business with our own people be like for them to be seen as worthy of being able to do that much business with them?
Well, let me explain. First, Stan, as Director of Career Services for 6 years at the University of the District of Columbia, one of the things that I did was I created what I call the Mentor for Life program. In other words, many of the young men and women that I mentored, because as you know, you met Marquita Lucky as well, many of the people that I've mentored them from the time they were teenagers to right now.
Wow.
And many of them are in their 40s and in their 50s right now that I've mentored for a number of years, being a teacher, vice principal, and then working in higher education. And so for me, the key that I've always taught people, and this is something that you brought up last night, is we have got to learn how to treat others. And in treating others in a particular kind of way, Stan, we're also learning how to treat ourselves. And so the key is customer service. How do you want to be treated? And in that way, you treat people the same way with your business. Because the only way that you're going to be able to attract people is you have to be that way. I used to tell people in sales, 90% of the sale is you, 10% is product knowledge.
90%.
90%.
If you're out here listening to that, 90% of the sale is you. So, Cliff, are you saying that people buy the person approaching them first, long before they buy the product or the service?
And that's exactly right, because there's an old saying that we buy products emotionally and we justify them logically. So what they're really doing is they're really buying the personality of the person that's selling them the product. So if that person feels comfortable with them, if that person feels like they're getting a fair shot, they're going to buy the product. Describing the product is a small part of it.
Well, I thank you for illuminating that for us and sharing how important it is for people to make sure that they're treating people in the way that they want to be treated. It really simplifies it. And if you duplicate that over and over, I think you'd be in pretty good shape.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't you agree? What are some of the skill sets that you must have once you made the connection, you now have developed the clientele, you are now doing a reasonable amount of business in our community? What are some of the skill sets that you need to bring to bear now to take that business to another level, and take it from infancy to adolescence and then to prime or a mature business?
One of the things that I would say is once you have established that business and you have grown that business, now you also need to become philanthropic. You need to learn how to give something back to the community. You have to learn how to take some of those dollars and that percent, and you and I talked about it last night. If you look at Malachi, the book of Malachi 3, it talks about bringing your fruits into the storehouse. And so I would say learn how to give. Because if you look at some of the largest corporations that were ever founded in the United States of America, whether it was by the Rockefellers, you know, those who created Standard Oil Company, those who created all of the major businesses, they had a major arm within that business that was foundational. So they gave away. Because you demonstrated it last night with Christian, I believe, when you had Christian ball up his fist and you said, "Can anything get in your hand?" In which Christian answered no. And then you had him open up his hand. Can anything now get in your hand? And the answer is yes. So you have to learn to give. Once your business reaches a certain point, you have to then learn to give something back from the community in which you have taken so much out of.
In agreeing with you entirely, I have often said that the people who practice economics best probably would be excellent farmers. Because what a farmer does, you know, in the planting season, right, the farmer takes good seed and puts it in good earth. Doesn't expect a return yesterday or today or tomorrow, but expects a return. And then in the harvest season, you know, after a couple of months and that seed now starts to produce something, in the harvest season now the farmer expects a return and then goes back into the same process again in the planting season, and that cycle just continues. We have to look at it that way as well, and this was the point that I was trying to bring to bear last night. And thank you for reinforcing that point. What we would like to do, you and I, those of you who are watching us and hearing us, what I would like to do is create a cycle of prosperity, which essentially says that all of us come to the table with unique gifts that the Creator has given us that no one else has. No one could quite duplicate the voice of the late, great Aretha Franklin. No one could quite duplicate the talents in their sports profession like a Muhammad Ali, the greatest of all time. No one could quite duplicate someone with the skill in music of a Duke Ellington or a Miles Davis, or the person who Miles emulated, Charlie Parker.
That's right.
All right? No one can kind of do that. So what I'm getting at by repeating these greats and what their unique talents were, it seems to me the Creator always gives us something that we can use as our passport, our way to extract some wealth on this earth by providing our time, talent, and treasure to someone else. And so what we are asking you to do is get better at what you do, sharpen that gift, sharpen that talent, and then come full force into this free marketplace that is waiting for you. There are people who want to hear your song. There are people who want to hear your speech. There's people who want that application that you've just created. There's people who want to see and bear witness to your sports talent and appreciate it. There's people who want your organizational capability, that great manager you are. There's people who want that leadership gift that you have. You know, you are the type of person that inspires others to action. There's people who want that. And this free marketplace is waiting for you. This free marketplace is our friend. I would just say this to those of you out there who are of African descent. Long before there was a Wall Street in the United States of America, or there was a money market in England, or a money market in France, or a money market in Germany, almost 12,000 years before that, archaeologists and historians have now found that free markets existed in southeastern Africa, in that region that we now know as Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia. And not only did free markets exist, they have now found evidences of boards on walls in which they tracked the revenue and the profits of these companies. Yes, there was already a stock market functioning in the lower parts of the Nile Valley almost 12,000 years ago. The reality is that if you believe that other folks in this world taught you everything and that you created nothing, you're in a bad place. But I'm here to tell you that free markets and the opportunities to exist in free markets have existed long before documented history has existed. And if you read a book called Pre-Colonial Africa by Sheikh Anta Diop, a Senegalese mastermind, he will tell you this. And it is there for you to see for yourself. So at the time that people were buying and trading stocks in the lower Nile Valley, places in Europe that we know of today were nothing but cattle grazing lands. The city of London didn't even exist at this time. The city of Athens, Greece didn't even exist at this time. Rome was some farmland thing. There weren't any people there, and yet these are the places where people want to come and tell us about how free markets should operate and how to market ourselves. The only thing that they can do is give us our rightful room to operate in the free marketplace along with them and bring our time, talents, and treasures to the marketplace to see if we can participate. So be confident that this free marketplace is not your enemy, it's your friend. So just come to the table with a confidence that you have something uniquely your own that our people would like to invest in and support you with. And so with that said, I'd like to share with you that beginning on Thursday evening, April the 18th, here at Everlasting Life Restaurant, we will be holding our Entrepreneur Spotlight and Networking meeting. For those of you that like to get by, it will be from 7 to 10 p.m. We're going to spotlight 4 or 5 entrepreneurs again right here at E-Life Restaurant. And the following day at the Marriott Hotel at 1320 Caraway Court in Largo, we will also have our network meeting and entrepreneur spotlight there. The reason why we're doing this is because we want you at home here in Maryland to capitalize on this awesome $38 billion opportunity. You should be profiting from the kind of purchasing power this community has. So with that said, Cliff, I wanted to ask you, how would people get in contact with you as one of our hosts here in the Maryland market if they wanted to appear either at the Entrepreneur Spotlight here at E-Life on the 18th or at the one at the Marriott? How would they get in contact with you?
There's a couple of ways you can get in contact with me. First of all, I'm the host of the podcast every Saturday here at E-Life called To Those Who Know Me Well. And you can tune in 11 to 12 o'clock in the morning to Those Who Know Me Well. Second, you can give me a call at 301-523-7250. I am the founder and proprietor of the Coates Entertainment Group, LLC.
Well, thank you so much for that. And if you'd like to get in contact with me directly about appearing at the Matthews Business Network and Entrepreneur Spotlight here at Everlasting Life on Thursday, April 18th from 7 to 10, my number is 732-357-5701. You can also visit me on the web at thematthewsbroadcast.com. That is the Matthews with 2 T's, broadcast.com. I think that if you have listened to anything that Cliff said this morning and anything that I've shared this morning, you see we are excited about your present and your future. We know that you're more wealthy than you could possibly imagine. We know that there are people right now coming from nations far flung around the world to offer products and services to you right in your community. There are people of Indian descent that want to sell to you. There's people of Korean descent that are selling to you. There are people of many nations that come directly to urban communities that want to sell you everything from food to clothing and other services. And so I don't blame them for coming. You are very, very wealthy. If you were so poor, no one would want to come and set up shop in your community. No, you are far from poor. You are prosperous and wealthy, and so everyone makes their way to urban communities to sell to you. I'm saying to you that we can turn everything around that you don't like about your community right now by us selling to each other. So I'm Stan Matthews, along with Clifton Coates, and we are inviting you into your community of prosperity here at Everlasting Life Restaurant and Everlasting Wealth in your own homes. Good afternoon, Super Saturday blessings, and God bless.